Hello, welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is a show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Nouran, and today I got to talk to musician Emma Kupa. Without any further ado, here is the interview. Emma, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. The first thing I always ask with the interview questions is, how would you describe your sound to someone who have never heard your music before?
Okay, good question. So my solo stuff is a bit folky, but it's also kind of on the edge of indie rock, I'd say. It's sort of based around like catchy tunes and the lyrics, I guess, with a few guitar solos.
So your new album, It Will Come Easier, was released in September. Could you tell us a little bit about the process of recording the album?
Sure. So I'm in a bunch of other bands, so I did this sort of every now and then when I found the time to get into the studio. And basically, I had some songs, and I asked some friends that I had worked with before to meet up with me, and I sang them the songs, and then they wrote their own parts. And then a few days later, we would go into the studio and record the songs. So the musicians on there didn't spend a huge amount of time. It's sort of quite fresh what they recorded on the songs. And then we had about 3 or 4 sessions over 18 months where we recorded the songs.
Oh, cool. And how did you come up with the album title?
So it's a line from one of the choruses of the songs on the record, and I really like singing it, and I think it's quite a hopeful line, and it just seemed to make sense.
So, when it comes to the challenging part of creating an album or a song, what did you find most challenging when creating It Will Become Easier?
So writing songs, like when it feels right, it's really easy, and it's really fun playing music with people, and recording is quite fun. So what I found hard was keeping things going. So like organizing it and moving it forward, and then working with the music, with the record labels, and all the other steps like mastering and artwork and all those sorts of things. You need a lot of motivation to really release a record, and I think that's often the hardest bit.
And I know it's also very stressful to like create something like that. And how long did it take you to finish the album?
Well, I was just thinking about it. So I think it took it like 18 months to record it. And then I think about this time last year, I decided that I was definitely going to try and release it in 2020. So there's another year of just planning the release and finalizing all the bits and pieces that you need to finalize for it.
So we have like all favorite artists. We like to hear them singing, and we like to hear their music. So whose artist do you think, either past or present, would you like to perform with, and what song would you play with?
Wow. I think that I would like to play with Fleetwood Mac. And I think I just want to be on stage with them and hear them all harmonizing, and like the grooves they create would just be amazing. So I just play the tambourine with Fleetwood Mac.
So you've been playing music and playing instruments since you were about 15 years old. Do you come from a musical family?
Yeah, my mum played bass guitar in a punk band in the 80s. And then she started playing double bass in folk bands. So she moved more to like folk music in when I was a kid in the 90s. So there's always been like she used to rehearse in our living room, so there was always a lot of music around growing up, and she'd bust out on the streets, and I'd have to kind of stand there waiting around till the band had finished.
So she kind of inspired you with the whole music to make it as a career, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. She really modelled that it was possible to be in a band and to make music and to do what you wanted to do, no matter what. She's definitely really inspiring.
Speaking of the band, you are in a band called the Mammoth Penguins. You're currently recording and touring and writing with them. So can you tell us a little bit about how do you how do you tend to like write together, and like do you tend like how do you guys find a way to write together, and how do you write by yourselves?
Cool. So I think when I'm writing the solo songs for this record, it will come easier. The songs, I needed to play them just on my own. You know, it's really nice to play with other people and to have drums and bass and guitar and banjo on these songs, but ultimately, like, I need to be able to play them on my own if I'm doing performances solo. So like writing those songs needed to sort of keep tension and stay interesting just on my own. Whereas with the Mammoth Penguin songs and when I'm in another band, like, there's more space to just have sort of have some instrumental bits, or like, and there's more of a focus on writing interesting riffy guitar parts. So I focus on with my Mammoth Penguin songs. I start off with like, okay, what's the cool guitar bit that I'm going to do for this song, and then I build it around that. Whereas with the solo songs, it's more about what do I want to say, and how do I want to sing it.
So the name, the Mammoth Penguins, is a very interesting name. What was the idea behind the creation of that band name?
So we like, it's really hard naming bands, and if you like, you think of a name and then you Google it, and some band on the other side of the world already has that name and stuff. So we were just thinking about like what different ideas could we put together, and woolly mammoths and penguins are both just really cool animals. So we we exactly, we just randomly joined them together because it was suitably obscure that nobody else had thought of it.
So with your band, or like performing with your band or performing solo, which song is your favorite to perform?
Oh, that change! It, you know, it's always just probably the last song that I've written is the one I'm most excited about. But there's a few songs, like there's a Mammoth Penguin song called "When I Was Your Age," and it's become my favorite amongst our audience. And when we start playing it, you can really feel people excited and happy, and that's a really awesome feeling. And so I really like, we stopped playing that song a lot, but so we only play it on special occasions, and yeah, it's really fun when we do play it.
How did you know, or what moment in your life did you decide you want to pursue music as your career?
So I still have a day job because it's really, really hard in the UK, and I think in the US as well, to make a living from music. So it's always been something that I've done alongside, you know, earning enough money to live on. Um, my first band, Standard Fair, I was in my early 20s, and we went to South by Southwest, and we went to the US a couple of times, and we toured Europe, and it was just, it's the most fun, and it's always an adventure. And so I've always wanted to do as much music as I can, and you know, I've learned what the opportunities are, and I try and take them whenever they're offered. So, and I think that will continue. You know, if you write songs and stuff, you always want it. If there's someone that wants to hear them, you always want to play them.
What is so as a musician, what is a typical day for you like? Like in the studio, like performing on stage?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, in the studio, we stay over, and we get up and play music all day. Well, the way we record live, so guitar, bass, drums, banjo, we do it all at the same time, and then we just open up vocals, and they're quite long days. If we were playing a gig, we'd probably all do a day's work and then jump in the car and drive to wherever it is we're playing, and then sound check, grab some food, have a gig, have a drink, celebrate afterwards, and then drive home, get home at like 2 in the morning.
So like when you're a day off or when you're relaxing or anything, what do you like to do, or what hobbies do you like to do when you relax?
Okay, so I really like playing touch rugby, which is uh, do you know what rugby is? It's a little bit like American football, but a bit less violent. And then touch rugby is even less violent because you just get tackled by being touched on the shoulder or whatever. But it's a lot of like running around and throwing a ball around and stuff on grass. That's quite fun.
So before we go, what's one thing you want the listeners to know or like experience from your music?
I would really like it if a listener found themselves humming or singing a line from my songs. I would really like it if they wormed their way into listeners' brains, and also maybe um, if they identified with, if they heard a line of a lyric and just thought, "Oh yeah, I've been there. I've felt that before." Something like that is cool.
So where can our listeners find you and your music?
Just Google Emma Kupa, Kupa, and you'll come across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, website, and then Palo Santo is the record label where you can buy the album on CD or vinyl in the US.
Thanks to Emma for sitting down with us and talking all about her music. If you want to see more interviews just like this, you can go to facebook.com/studio67ncc, youtube.com/nashcom college, or you can find us on Instagram at studio67ncc. Thank you all for watching. I'm Nouran Shaban, and remember to stay positive.